Alright, so today I want to talk about Dune Awakening. This is a game I'm pretty excited for, and I want to focus on the in-game. The information for the in-game was spread out across multiple sources, and I wanted to condense it into one video to sort of make it easier for you guys to understand, and so you don't have to go researching through multiple sources like I did. So to start off with, I want to give a brief summary of what the game is, how it starts off, and then I want to quickly jump into the in-game, as that is the meat and bones of this video. So, in the beginning, you are an abandoned prisoner that starts in the Haga Basin. This is one of the many different maps the game has, and the Haga Basin is one of the starter zones, which is layered and can hold up to 40 players. The Haga Basin has a lot of early game progression and the main storyline. It offers anywhere from 40 to 80 hours of gameplay, and over time, you may or will form groups and guilds and eventually align yourself with one of the two great houses, the Harkonnen or the Atreides. These are again the two launch houses. We have had confirmation in the Pirate Software interview that there will be more houses to come after launch, and a third house shortly after launch. And again, once you align yourself with a house and you're in a bigger guild, you may want to go deeper into the desert. To start off with, there are also 5 different classes, and you're not locked into any of them. You can freely switch between them and alternate abilities when you unlock them throughout the world. So there's the Bene Gesserit, the Mintant, the Swordmaster, the Trooper, and the Plantologist, all with unique abilities and passives that can be earned with training through Arrakis. They all have either unique storylines or training to acquire them. And that is sort of the meat and bones, the, I guess, introduction overview of the game, and I will link the Pirate Software interview down below. We can learn a lot more of the basic sort of stuff of the game, but this video, as you might have looked at by the title and the thumbnail, is we're focusing on the in-game. So as I've said, in the in-game, you have 2 factions. You don't have to align yourself with a faction, but I probably would recommend it. You have the Harkonnen and the Atreides. These are the 2 of the great houses on Arrakis at launch. Both factions have unique building kits, which could sway your choice in allegiance, as they could have a preference in your style. But ultimately, it could just be, I guess, a lore perspective as well on how you align yourself or whatever you think is cooler. I know a lot of people want to go Harkonnen just because. So anyways, the Deep Desert. This is the main in-game map that uses server meshing between 9 different servers, making it a massive, ever-changing landscape that is all PvP enabled. In the Deep Desert, there are numerous activities and challenges you will face, ranging from massive contested spice blows to PvP control points to win votes in the Landsraad, which is one of the most important in-game features I will dive into later. Once a week, in the Deep Desert, the Coriolis Storm occurs, which is a massive sandstorm that changes the Deep Desert map, so each week you travel out, things will differ from the previous time. This is also extremely relevant to the in-game, as you will have people in your guild or solo that scout out the Coriolis Storm resets to map out resources or important locations that in turn can be sold as maps on the exchange, which is the player economy located at the MMO-like social hubs such as Harko Village. You can also share the maps with guildies for shared info. Players and guilds can buy these maps for pivotal information on the resets. So in the Deep Desert that week, you can gain an advantage and sweep votes at the Landsraad. Now again, I will jump onto the Landsraad in a sec here, and what that actually is if you don't know much about Dune lore, it might sound a little bit confusing. But again, remember to be careful, as when you buy a map off the exchange, it could have some dodgy information. Now you can't create a made-up location on a cartography map yet, but you can bait someone into a point of interest on a cartography map that you sold on the exchange or purchased on the exchange that could cost you and your guild or benefit you and your guild, depending on if you are the receiver or the sender. So this creates a whole dynamic, and I think it's going to be very interesting to play out. And again, you could get a dodgy map that leads you right into an enemy trap at a point of interest in the Deep Desert. So again, I want to jump onto what the Landsraad actually is, and specifically if you are new to the Dune universe. The Landsraad is a governing body that represents all of the great houses of the Imperium. In this council, things like the trade agreements and server rules can be set, by players by fulfilling requests to gain a vote at the Landsraad. This can range from a capture point in the deep desert, which is a recent feature I've added, or by delivering ornithopters to someone at the Landsraad and swaying a vote. This system, as mentioned by Joel, which is one of the game directors, aims to create tension between the houses with PvP. For example, both the Harkonnen and the Atreides could be tasked to capture a specific control point that would create a faction battle to vie over the votes. Joel also mentioned that he has a whole list of different activities he wants to add to the Landsraad, creating an ever-changing, refreshing, and engaging dynamic in-game PvE and PvP loop. As mentioned, this doesn't just contain PvP elements. You could just get something as simple as crafting ornithopters to send away. So there is a core system here that PvEers can enjoy, especially manipulating the exchange as a economy influence, and there's many ways that you don't have to engage in PvP. Although that is the main reason I'm excited for this game. And again, we'll jump onto what the Landsraad actually gives you. So, upon winning a vote, you can create a server rule, and should you gain enough votes at the Landsraad that week, could impose significant benefits to your house, ranging from reduced crafting costs to even full loot PvP. Outside of this server rule, I want to quickly mention in PvE, you will only drop some resources, Solari, which is the currency of the Imperium, and lose some durability. This is the same rule set for general PvP when full loot is not going, with those drops being lootable only in PvP zones. If you are in a PvE zone and you die, your stuff cannot be looted other than by you. But if you die in a PvP zone, that durability, or sorry, not durability, that Solari and resources can be looted by an opposing player. Another important thing to know is you can build a base or guild base in the deep desert, which can pose several risks but also benefits. The big question I know a lot of you will have is, can you be raided? The short answer is yes, but it is not as simple as you can build and maintain a shield to prevent being attacked as is in the Dune universe, and if you're familiar with the lore, but you can also succumb to a sandstorm which can knock your shield down and make you vulnerable, in which you could be raided. Now, Joel has said that he only aims to have this at peak times, and he's playing around with the idea of how it works still, and we'll have to see the full implementation at launch, as again, this is something that might be tweaked in the future, as it could create a bit of tension between the players. Again, I think this would be hella exciting. Looking out for those potential sandstorms and heading out into the deep desert to take advantage of it. Or again, you have to have people constantly watching your base if a random sandstorm pops up and your shield goes down. You can also have a place or persistent residence away from the deep desert and each week extract with what you have gathered. This could almost be aligned to an extraction event each week where you and your guild must make it back to the safety PvE strip that lies at the start of the deep desert. I probably should have mentioned this, but there is a effectively PvE strip that sits at the start of the deep desert where you cannot be attacked to prevent, being camped as soon as you enter the deep desert map, right? So you have a bit of a safety net to ensure that you can get in and out without, again, being ganked. We'll quickly jump onto the size of the map as well, as it is pretty fucking big. So there is a lot of planning and tense moments that I can see happening from this, and I'm just imagining the gameplay of PvP, especially if the Landsraad that week is full loot PvP. Like, could you imagine if it's the extraction night where the Coriolis storm is going to come in and it's going to reset the deep desert, and you have to get out with your resources before night ends or before the daybreak, right? That's going to create some very intense PvP, especially if the Landsraad has swayed full loot PvP for that week. I reckon it could create some very toxic but engaging moments, and that is kind of one of the parts that I'm very much looking forward to. You would also have to keep in mind alongside this that the further you go into the deep desert, the further you have to get back to safety. But there is a reason to go deep, so you don't just want to sit at the shallow end of the deep desert, right? This is a 576 square kilometer map, and you want to think ahead, right? You want to get your guildies scouting, you want to have people always aware of the possible outcomes and positions you put yourself in. Where you sit, is this a common area where there's been a lot of PvP? Maybe that isn't the smartest place to base, but also you may have quite a big guild that can utilize and sort of lock down a certain area of the deep desert, such as an eco lab, which is a point of interest that could be pretty pivotal in getting a Landsraad vote or something along those lines. I want to now talk a little bit about guilds and structure and a little bit more of the general stuff. So much like other MMOs and survival multiplayer games, you have permission levels for your guild members. You can assign them as such, but this can also backfire, as you might have people trying to social engineer their way to the top. This again plays into the tactical and political drama that I'm very much excited for, coming from New World territory control systems where drama and competition is very much the focus of the in-game PvP. Some other small things worth mentioning that I want to leave in here is that there is chat box and proximity chat, more importantly, so you can get some engaging funny moments out of that as well. There is going to be a lot of things that haven't been mentioned in this video as well that I just can't really talk about, as this is all public information. I quickly want to mention that this is public information, all provided from different sources. A lot of it did come from the Pirate Software interview, but I wanted to collapse all of the important information for the in-game, as I see that is the least talked about topic, as all these other creators have been given talk about the starting experience of the game. I want to cut into the important juice of the game that I'm most excited for, and I'm sure a lot of other people are as well, is the in-game. And that's what I wanted to focus this video on. I didn't want to, say things I'm not allowed to as well, so I had to write a massive script for this video to make sure I stayed within the lines and I didn't break any NDAs. But this is a game I'm very much excited for, and I hope you are as well. We're getting the release date very soon, and I hope to see you in Arrakis. Peace.